and it's not pinned.
Yeah, there we go.
Stephen, we're on. Right, we're live. Hi guys, welcome to the Battle Pirates Crib Wednesday night hangout. You can see we've got the BP Prof with us on the end there. Now he's finished playing with his wrapping paper. We've got Rob, and we've also got Stephen joining us.
God knows why.
Uh, yeah, we thought
Wow.
we thought we thought we might be short
I
on
love
numbers,
you,
so
Rob.
we called in the reserve. Uh, so, Larry, do you want to crack on
Well,
with?
I don't know. Maybe before we start the slides, we can talk about the fat a little bit. What do we think?
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I thought other than the multitude of mistakes that Kixeye made and errors that we'll get to later in the show, I mean, I thought I had fun. Fusion Cruisers did well. I used Payne's build. Came in sixth. Spent 5 coin. How about you guys?
I also use my build. um, yeah, I did really well with it actually. I really enjoyed that fleet, and I got the 4 cruisers, 3 for coming in the top 10. I think I was ranked 4 or 5, and the 10k points. I didn't get first. I wasn't bothered about the skin, to be honest.
Yeah, I ended up getting 26. I spent like $6 or $7. Um, I just didn't have enough time to fill it out. I tried a couple different fleets. I did not try Rod's build because I forgot about it. I should have. That was my mistake.
And
But it was decent.
Well, I used Payne's build. Uh, I
I think I should start getting some commission off this, shouldn't I?
um
I'll send you a
I
Banshee hull I don't use.
I, I had a bit of a I had a bit of a scare actually. So my strategy was to start late and get the easiest bracket I could. And Larry and Rob were probably pissed themselves because I think it was Sunday night, wasn't it? I was sort of putting in the admin chat, guys, I don't know whether to join this bracket or not, etc., etc. I ended up joining, and it was a good job I did because the next bracket didn't fill, I don't think. So I joined. I finished ninth, I think. And yeah, I mean, it is what it was. Oh, I got the. I don't know if anyone else got this impression. I thought the points were quite a bit higher than they have been in previous fats. They definitely were at the later end of the brackets. Normally, like you look at about 600, 700 points to win the bracket. I wonder if that's because there were less. Yeah, I know, Larry. That's why I was joining late. That's why I was. um, but yeah, so I didn't know if anyone else noticed that, or I wondered if it was more because of like at the later stages you weren't getting as many inactive players where they've only just logged in or whatever. Like particularly new players that have just joined, maybe logging into it and not really doing any battles because they don't know what they're doing, sort of thing. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the people that were coming in late were coming in with the idea that they were going to coin, and so the fact they were coming in late meant they would be coining less. I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe it
maybe there
was
was just a more even split across this time rather than really high then really low.
could have just been that it was a very, popular prize.
Maybe.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, the only other
It,
problem I had with it was what I know I told you about this, Larry. The guy who came in second is currently waiting on a ticket response because I was going to go for first this raid, and basically Kixeye didn't fill my bracket. So although there was enough members in the world joining at 299 members, they started a new bracket. So for about 13 hours, we were stuck on 299, and it never filled. So for that reason, I kind of just kept myself in the top 10, thinking this is obviously a Kixeye score. Yeah, this is going to be on the show on Wednesday.
mm,
But yeah, my bracket didn't actually fill, so no one got top prize. We only got 2 to 10, which I thought was a little bit naughty.
yeah, they pretty explicitly said they were going to fill them sequentially.
They did give adequate warning this time. I know it's kind of you've been told before join earlier rather than later, but I mean they did say in beforehand they advised you to join sooner rather than later.
Well,
Yeah,
and that's fine, but if they say brackets are going to fill sequentially, then if another one started and Tyler, you say that another one did,
Yeah, I tested it.
then they should have filled the previous bracket 100%.
Yeah,
And
it's a bit weird, that, isn't it?
I had a friend in the same world, so I started, and it started a new bracket with about 70 members in, which would have been about right for the rate people who were joining. So they obviously just didn't fill mine and started a new one. I just thought that was a bit strange. Obviously, it didn't bother me because I didn't go for second or didn't go for first in the end, because I thought that would be the case, that they weren't going to fit it. So yeah, I just thought that was a bit strange.
Huh.
Is that okay for you, Larry? We debrief there. You want to?
Yeah, I think so. Just well, we mentioned Payne's build, but just to refresh the memory of those who didn't see the video or didn't get it, it was a Rhino with Harriers. It was 2 fusion cruisers loaded with
Siege and Strike, Larry. They didn't have Harriers as an option.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, Strike Bees and yeah. I only had 1 Siege on mine. I wasn't maybe a carbon copy. And then with 2 fusion cruisers loaded with Antipodes, an Aegis, and a Nighthawk. So that worked pretty well. Spread them out. I fought a lot of players who kept stacked up against fusion cruisers. That was kind of stupid, but I didn't mind.
I did tweak it. Sorry, Larry. Carry on, mate.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say then that I did tweak Payne's build a little bit. I swapped out the Aegis for a Frosty because there was no real flagship hull in your fleet, was there, Payne? I'm right in saying that. It was just the Aegis.
Yeah, I didn't really see a need for a flagship.
No.
Personally, I preferred the Aegis over the Frostburn for the defensive bonuses. Sometimes you came across some Valkyries or some Crusaders, so it helped a little bit there, meaning you could focus the armor more on evade and radiation. And I think the other kind of lead ships all kind of force you to take damage, which I didn't like because it obviously gave you a persistent repair bill, which isn't the way I like to play the arena.
Yeah, I mean the reason I swapped out the Aegis was partly, I'd say partly probably because I can't drive, and partly because I found sometimes, well, basically I saw that the Frosty had the 100% radioactive reload bonus, as well as being slightly unreactive, isn't it? It can hold its shockwave a bit shorter than the average. I think it's 5 seconds, is it? It's something like that. It's a bit unreactive, not like Rhino unreactive, but a bit.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what I used the Rhino for, and yeah, I was with Rob. I'd rather have the defense bonus than the Frosty bonus.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't think the Frosty was doing much.
I filled it up with antipodes because of the radioactive reload, and then it was going to toe-to-toe with fusion cruisers if they killed off my Rhino first. I could like slot it in front, and then it was going toe-to-toe with them, and normally winning me the battle at the end, sort of thing, which is quite handy. Just when I used it for that, but that was just. I think I had a couple of cryo depth charges on it for subs, and then yeah. But that was just me personally because I was finding it difficult to unstack the Aegis once I'd stuck them all together, because obviously you want to keep it close to get the radioactive bonus, but I found that they were getting shocked, so I find it in killing it pretty quickly. So it's kind of just to make it a bit easier to drive. But yeah, crack on with your sides if you want then, Larry.
Just before you do, I've got a quick suggestion. It might not be the most popular thing, it might, I don't know. When you join the arena, and you can join up until you can technically join a minute before the end, can't you? Obviously, you probably won't get in a full bracket. I think what might be useful is if they put a restriction on, maybe 12 hours before you can't join, or 24. It kind of gives you that option then to, so it kind of forces people to join, so then you get less likely to get an empty bracket because more people will be joining. They know that they have to join by X time, and also I think it kind of balances it a little bit. Not to quote Kixeye on their other problems, but it's kind of a way of gaming the arena, you could say, because if you join right at the last minute, someone might be grinding away all weekend for the same prize as someone who's just got in a really lucky bracket. And obviously it's a tactic, and we've said before, joining later is usually better. But I think some kind of restriction to kind of prevent as many empty brackets as well as making it more balanced overall might be a good idea.
I tell you what I did notice is that they did that thing where They changed it so you have to fight a battle to be in the arena. They changed that, didn't they? So you had to fight a battle before you were put into a bracket. Now I'm fairly confident that lowered the amount of joining late had an effect, because the way I saw it was like this. Did the brackets used to be bigger? Was it 500 in the last arena before this one?
I think it was 300 last time, but it has been 500.
But because what I found was before you'd have like people with really low points. That didn't happen so much this time. They were kind of joining. If they were joining, they would join in to fight, rather than just join and see sort of what was going on. And I think that definitely made a difference. I think the other thing is by doing it so the brackets didn't fill. I've never had a problem where my bracket hasn't filled before, and my bracket didn't not fill because of that. But if I'd have joined, say 6 hours later than it would have, my bracket wouldn't have filled. So I think that was another like change they made that sort of comes under what you're saying, Robert. I don't think cutting it off 24 hours before would fix the empty bracket problem though. You'd have the same problem, wouldn't you? The last however many players joined got lag.
Yeah, I mean, it could help. It kind of gives people a deadline so that more people might join, rather than leaving it to, well, I'll leave it a couple more hours and keep leaving it and keep leaving it. But I think more of the balance as well, to kind of make it so that people aren't just sponging free prizes.
Well, if they make it so that you have to be in there for a while, they could fill the bracket from the top, leave the bottom slots, leave the bottom prizes unclaimed instead of the top ones.
Yeah, that would.
Right?
If they gave you that deadline, that's a good compromise.
I think they should do that anyway, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think they should do that anyway, because it is a bit shitty if you've if they do have the issue like they had in my bracket, where for whatever reason the bracket didn't fill. I know a few other people said that they had the same issue. If they'd have filled it from the top, obviously that would just mean that the 300th player wasn't getting a prize, rather than the top player not getting top prize. It just then looks kind of fishy on their part. Whereas if the 300th player doesn't get, it doesn't really matter, does it? Do you know what I mean? You've just got a bracket of 299 players rather than 300.
Right. All right. Well, let's crack on with the slides. So we got a few about the Retro Pack. We got a few about the Scourge and all kinds of new stuff coming up this week. So first on the bug fixes and changes, they got a couple minor ones, and then they also added an option to the settings where you could turn off your ship pathing lines. I guess if you were bugged by the lines, now you can turn them off. So there's that. And then the other two big changes is update to the ship designer and a new retro pack, and we'll get to those. So on the schedule, we've got 3 campaigns, 2 Let It Burn, including one of them this weekend, Uranium campaign. The Ascension raid with the new faction, the Scourge, starts next week on Thursday, so that's 1 week and 1 day away. The following week is the release of Outpost 7, which we've all been hearing about a bit. There's a little more info there. And then also they said there's going to be an improved base designer. So we'll see what that has in it. Raiding fleets Thursday, September 17th. That seems to be the pattern where you get them right after the raid. And then the new Forsaken Arena tournament on the 24th, the following week. So, and then what they said about that tournament is the prizes were going to be limited weapons, armors, and specials instead of hulls. So that's different. Although I guess we've had weapons as fat prizes before.
I like that because I think we've got too many holes coming out. So, I mean, limited armors and weapons, they still might be ridiculously overpowered and make us want to have to play the arena, but at least we're not having another ship to build. It's kind of positive. Especially
if they're like not really long build times, that'd be extra good. If they're not like 3 days, 2-3 days to implement, if it's like a 12-hour refit, like Speed System 5 is, for instance, that'd be really good.
Yeah,
I agree with you there, Rob.
I think I want to see the Rogue Crew campaign come back.
Yeah.
I read something on the forums. It was what one of the mods said, and they were saying how they suspect, it's not official, but they suspect that it's not going to return, but they haven't had a response when they've asked.
Huh. Okay. They also did publish I called it a tech preview for the next Forsaken mission. So starting on the 16th of September, the first mission after the raid, there's going to be a new Blade missile in the elite tier. We don't know much about what that is, though. Countermeasure loader 2 and 3 on tier 3 and elite. Right now there's just the one countermeasure loader that gives you, was it 10% reload, 30% accuracy, and I forget the range that it gives you.
The bonuses are pretty different. I think it are pretty decent. I think it varies between. I've got a feeling it might be 50, 20, 40, 40 for anti-mortar accuracy, anti-mortar range, anti-missile accuracy, anti-missile range, or something like that. It's different for anti-mortars and anti-missiles. It changes for each one. But I know it's slightly worse than the countermeasure loaders, than the countermeasure targeting if you add them all up together. But then it gives you the 10% reload bonus to everything, I think.
Yeah.
We'll get that
Anyway.
checked before the end.
So anyway, the new ones I assume will be better. So we'll have to see. Then a turret special on tier 2, 3, and elite, supercharged EM rails, which give you a critical hit chance, and you can apparently stack them with the DU shells. So there's that. And if you're wondering, I mean, the math behind critical hit is basically the critical hit percentage is your DPS increase percentage. So 15% critical hit basically increases your DPS by 15%. Just if you're curious on the math there. And then they said there will also be a limited elite prize called the Ballista Turret, which I'm going to assume is some sort of supercharged javelin. So to get the Ballista, you're going to have to earn all the other elite prizes first, then you get the Ballista before tokens. And so what that means is that in order to get the Ballista over that 3 mission cycle, you're going to have to do elite tier 4 times. So I just did want to comment that it seems like Kixeye, you know, they start out with only 2 new elite prizes over the 3-week cycle in that first Forsaken mission month. And then last month it was 3 elite prizes over the 3 mission cycle. And so now there's 4. So they keep turning it up a little bit.
Sorry, Larry, I just want to quickly say I'm quite pissed off about this. The reason being, go on.
No, go ahead, Tyler. I'm not as pissed as I sound, but
yeah, I got to 50 million last week. They gave us 5 days to do it. I figured I could just about. Well, I got there with probably a day to spare. So I got my 50 million, and I got the D5R, which for me was the prize I was least looking for. I had them all in order. Interception system and speed system 5 being at the top. Fusion charges I would have taken. Got D5R now. I'm not bitching. That's the game. That's everyone knows their chance when they're going for it. I knew that could well happen. What does frustrate me though is that it's annoying that to me the speed system 5 and the interception system and the guided missile system, if you're building a missile fleet, are pretty integral to having one of the best fleets in the game. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Very often a missile fleet is going to be a lot stronger with the guided missile system. I know for a fact that launch fleets are a lot stronger with interception system or fusion charges. Interception being the preference, but fusion charges also making them stronger. On a base guard, having both of them makes them particularly strong. So it's just a bit frustrating that 50 million's a lot to grind out. It's a lot of hours for me at least, and it's a bit like, do you want me to go for it or not? Because I've like committed to going for it now. I'm going to put the effort in to try and get 50 million. But if I'm getting 50 million and getting stuff I don't really need, it's a bit demoralising.
Yeah.
But yeah, carry on.
So
I get what you're saying there, but to be fair, I mean, it has been that way since the mission came out. But it's just a lucky dip of the prizes. We've said before, haven't we, how it would be good if we could, have a re-roll option or an option to spend a number of uranium to pick a prize or something. But
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just to clarify, it's not the fact that I got D5R that's pissed me off. Fully understand that risk. It's more the fact that like I can take D5R, then I can be like, okay, that's one prize that I'm not going to get next week, so I've got more chance of getting the prizes that I want. When they're going to put in 4 more prizes that I don't want to say yet because I don't know if I will want or won't want. But do you know what I mean? Like for me,
yeah, I mean, after that first mission cycle, when there were 2 elite prizes in 3 weeks, you felt like, oh, maybe they're giving everybody a chance to actually catch up. But as they keep, turning up the content rate, it's not happening. Now, Rob, you relayed this message from chat saying that October is a 5-week month. But I don't know if they're gonna ditch that 4-week raid cycle. So we'll have to see if they're only going to keep this mix in for 3 missions. So, yeah, I guess. Well, you'll know by the 3rd week, right? Because that'll be in October. You'll know when the next raid is going to be, because you'll see it in the October WIP.
Well, we could, just kind of time will tell deal, unless Kixeye are kind enough to give us a heads up on the forums or something, so that we can almost plan ahead. You might not need to hit the mission twice if you know there's going to be an extra one.
Yeah.
If you start getting 65 bill, you can wait till next week and get 50.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, let's move on. So we've got the new ship designer, and essentially they've added this designer mode, which is something we've been asking for quite a while, which allows you to use the ship designer to create designs while your shipyard is busy. So that's good. And you can also see that they've also allowed, even if you don't own a hauler component, you can look at it in the designer and use it and see what a build would be like if you had that thing.
How many people have mocked up a Hellstar in their design mode? I bet a lot of people have.
have they got an option where you can change the retrofit level? Sorry, Larry, I haven't seen this in game yet, so because I haven't been on tonight so much. Have they gave the option where you can set the retrofit level as well?
I
No.
don't think so. Yeah.
It's just like the regular shipyard where you would build your ship. It's just the same as that. You can pick one ship, but you have all components available, and you can save different fleet ships. One thing I will pick up on: you can't utilize bonuses like if you want to use a Savage Kodak with your fleet, you can't get that bonus stat built in, because that makes a big difference to how you build it. If you're trying to get a certain percent of missile defense whilst not neglecting some other defenses, you want to know what the difference is going to be if you use a Savage. I mean, surely you can work it out, but not everyone needs to be a mathematician to play the game. I think Huggies is still a hell of a lot better for planning your fleets. I don't see this changing that. It's a good step for them, but I think they need to make it more fleet-wise. I know that Doom asked a question on the forums about making some changes and what we'd rather have as a next step. But I think having the ability to build a fleet like in Huggies, as well as utilizing the flagship bonuses, is really needed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to add on to that. Personally, used Huggies a hell of a lot, as I'm sure everyone on this panel probably does. And if they're looking for direction of where to go, I think Huggy's done a pretty good job of innovating his as he's gone through, making it more and more adaptable to the game and to what people need, i.e. setting your own retrofit component level, building the whole fleet like Rob was saying, and getting the fleet bonus applied from the Aegis, DPS. I mean, bear in mind the amount of depth his goes into, I think you'd struggle. They're gonna, yeah, like Rob said, it's a good step to catching up, but Huggies is still
That
in
retro
depth.
makes a difference. I mean, sometimes I'll make a fleet, and like the mission fleet I've made it assuming I'm going to have certain components R15. Obviously, I don't have those components done yet, but I'll be working on it while I'm building the fleet. So I'd like to plan the build ahead.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think he's putting Huggy out of business just yet. All right, ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right, Retrofit Pack 21. I figured I'd illustrate it with someone else who's had a retrofit applied.
21 times by the looks of it.
It's a pretty extensive retrofit. So I should start with the new weapons and turrets in the retrofit. You've got the Scrambler Cannon, which shows up in its own group, and retrofitting it gets you accuracy and damage, just like Assault Cannon, which is where it originally showed up. Dragonfire Rocket shows up with the Rapid Fire Rockets, which I think the Infernos, and I don't remember if any other rockets are in the Rapid Fire group, but that gets you more splash. Pandemonium originally showed up with the Rapid Fire Mortars, which was the Searing Barrage, but then they got moved to their own group, the Heavy Rapid Fire Mortars. Also,
Did they actually get moved, or were they just never there? I didn't think they were in the retro lab before.
They were there.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
So does that mean people who've done that to R15 have now lost their retrofits?
That's what I was going to say. That's a bit shit, isn't it?
I mean,
I don't know.
telling
You
a
think
lie.
somebody did it right away when the,
I don't
like
think
right away
that-
at noon?
I don't know. I mean, are you 100% that they were in the rapid fire modes? So I don't remember that they were.
No. Well, you know what? I remember seeing the Pyroclast in with the other throwers. I do remember that. I can't.
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty
that it
sure.
was, I think it was just a Searing Barrage that was in the retro lab, and this is just a new addition. I mean, I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, then
No,
I'm wrong.
no, the Searing Barrage was already there.
Yeah, I mean the Pandemonium mode wasn't there, was it?
Right.
It wasn't in the retro class already.
Yeah. So anyway, we can talk about this later in the screw up section. And then the Pyroclast, and it was originally advertised as being as part of the throwers, and actually with the thrower weapons, the Magma and the Blaze would have also retroed the Pyroclast turret, but then it got moved to thrower turrets, its own class. So, and that improves fire rate if you retrofit it. So those are the new weapons and turret, and then I'm going to move on to the hulls, and also include the uranium cost, thanks to Dark Alliance who pulled all that data. I saw people asking for this data on the forums even as today, so the uranium costs are up here. But anyway, we got the Highlander, and I think these days most Highlanders are used as blank hulls. So really the one that I was looking at was the flagship, the increase to the flagship bonus at R5.
That's good, that.
Yeah.
The evade will help as well.
I think... Sorry, Larry, go on.
I don't know about it. I mean, I can't see any of the stats being good because, again, I think most players don't use the Highlander as...
Well, it will when you enter a base. Obviously your flagship's going to be up in the front a little bit, so if you enter on any javelin or in range of a missile, then it will just help it stay alive with that extra bit of it. I'm not saying it's a lifesaver and a godsend stat, but it has a little bonus.
Okay.
I think
56K to get that essential bonus really is what you're looking at. Just look at it that way. That's the only thing that interests me really is the flagship effect.
Yeah, I mean the reason I say that's good. I've already said that I picked up in the I think I said this in the pre-show actually, that I picked up the Grim in the raid because it was 8 million and I knew it was going into retro. Now I saw this was going into retro, I was a bit confused as to what they do with it. But when I got fusion cruisers, I sort of thought, right, I might use my unshackled Hellhound as a lead for it. 50% reload bonus, 50% radioactive defense, same as the Highlander. So I'd run it blank. And then now they've upped this. It's on a bit of a higher tier than that now. And I think running it blank, you could get a really good fusion cruiser fleet out of it. If you were running it blank with, say, an Aegis, if you can get the armor up particularly for PvE elements. The only downside I see is that, well, it's not a downside as such, but I think they could have upped that reload more. The reason I say that is because I use Huggies again a lot for my ship builds, and he has the rank bonus built in, doesn't he? So it shows how much it affects the reload. And at Skull rank, you're going to get a lot more effect. You'll know the math better than me on this, Larry. But having a Skull ranked fusion cruiser fleet will be significantly more than having the Highlander in front. I mean, compared to the difference it makes.
It actually compounds. So, like, so you have like a 50. Let's say you had 50% from the aura, okay, and then you go legendary, right? That quadruples your fire rate. So that's like a plus 200% bonus.
Well, quadruples, that'd be
times 4.
Yes, that'd
okay.
be 400%, wouldn't it?
Well, the plus 50 times 4.
Okay.
Okay, so then that extra 20% when you retrofit it, that gets quadrupled. So you go from 200 to like 280. Okay, because the aura went from 50 to 70. I'm probably not. That's probably not exactly right from a math perspective, but it compounds is my point. So even that 10% or 20% is magnified as you rank it.
Okay. So if you were to have the choice to say, I don't know, compare a unranked fusion cruiser with a Highlander lead, R5 for what's that, and then like a fusion cruiser fully ranked fleet, which would fire faster, the unranked fusion cruisers with the Highlander or the fully ranked fusion cruisers without the Highlander?
Fully ranked.
And is it by quite a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the stat I saw before, which was making me think that rather than the bonus you get from just having the flag, although you've just said that would be quadrupled, so it's not as valid now. But basically, if it's comparable for you, if you get them fully ranked, you're going to get a lot more bonus than you get from this.
Or you could just do both, rank them.
or you do both.
Why would I have one or the other?
Right, they're not exclusive.
You might want to use a different flag, and if your reload bonus is that fast anyway, then you're going to be killing stuff in seconds.
I would tell people rank it up regardless of what you use, because rank is helpful in every single way.
Yep.
One thing I'm going to just add to this before we move on to the next slide. I'm not sure about you, but besides the fact that it's fucking ugly, I don't think it's a priority, because you have to get to R5, like we said, to see any real effective bonus for what people currently use this ship for. And given the other retrofits which we're going to go through, and current retrofits like components which are already there, the amount of time that this is going to be taking and uranium, it wouldn't put it as a priority.
The cost isn't too bad though overall compared to like 180k for Greta's.
Well, I think the uranium cost, I agree with you a lot. I agree with both of you that the uranium cost isn't that bad, but spending, it's probably 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 10 days. It's probably like 26 days of retrofit lab time to get through R5, and that's a long time. I mean, I could do a lot of components in 26 days. 26 of them, in fact.
And I'd argue the components are more useful than this as just a single ship.
I think if you're using it as a flag for a fusion cruiser hull, and you're a non-coiner, and the fusion cruiser hull is sort of your big hull that you're building at the moment, which you probably are still building at the moment if you started them when they first came out, it might be worth doing, because in reality you've not got that many flags to use if you're in that position.
I would argue that even as a non-coiner, the Highlander as it is, with fusion cruisers, you can rank them as a non-coiners. You just have to grind on cargoes. I think ranking your fusion cruisers using an unretroed Highlander, and that 28 days, you can do 28 other retrofits, which would help you. Again, coin or not isn't really relevant there, because
you could take 5 different components from R0 to R5.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's more useful.
Because the uranium cost isn't bad. If you're talking about sand speed system's quite expensive, isn't it? So you're not likely, if you're not hitting dredges, you're unlikely to have that kind of uranium spare. Whereas this is quite cheap, and if you're using it as a flag, and it's going to get you an extra 80% reload at full rank.
I see where you're going, but
then it might be more worth doing.
A lot of the retros have been reduced, and the higher cost for engines is like for the higher levels. But like Larry was saying, to do up to level 5 on some components, it wouldn't really be that costly.
There's a lot of components that are dirt cheap.
Yeah,
1,000.
The bypass missiles and the arbalest and
eruption pyre, mortar.
They made,
yeah.
I thought they made it a while ago. They made it across the tier, 1 through 5. They made them radically cheaper.
They are cheaper.
A lot of them are.
My point is that if you're, like you said, bypass missiles, if you're building fusion cruisers and you're not coining fleets, you're unlikely to then be building rhinos. Do you know what I mean? Like if you've got
there's still a lot of components there.
Radiation systems, compound armor, evade armor. Yep.
Any defenses, like siege battery, anything really. Even the your turrets. If your fleet is going okay and your retrofit's okay, maybe upgrade some of your retros on your turrets. Get your gargoyles retro. They're only 2,000 per level up until R5. The Pride class is only 2,500, so you could do some of them.
Yeah, I mean, my retrofit lab has not been idle as long as I can remember, and I've still got a ton of components I'd really like to do. So, I just don't. I don't know if this is a priority over components. All right, let's move on. I don't want to take too long on all these. Hellhound to R5. I thought there were some good ones in here. I don't use Hellhounds, but I highlighted the rad defense and the combat speed and the turret defense. I thought those were all really good upgrades for the way I usually see these used.
I'm liking the turret defense.
It's a good tank there. It's given it some good tank bonuses, which is good for, say, the 85s, the turret defense. I'm not sure if that's what Payne was thinking or not, but for mission targets, the 50% turret defense is going to be helpful, particularly.
I will say I got hit with the retrofitted, only to R4, and I didn't see a noticeable difference where I was like, damn, I need to build Hellhounds and retrofit them. So I think it's more of an end game top player thing to give you that a little bit of edge over your current build. Again, I wouldn't say it's a massive priority. It depends on your fleets though. So if you're someone who loves using your Hellhounds, then I would say at least get the R4 up to the turret defense, and then maybe work on the rest. The explosive defense is obviously just a little bit more, but you've got the speed to kind of run through with Hounds, haven't you? So I think R4 is the priority retro. I don't know if that's what you lot would say, but
I should say uranium cost isn't that bad again. 50k for R5 is not bad at all, really, is it?
Cheaper than the Highlander.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Mastodon to R5. I think the way a lot of these are used, the R5 is probably the good one. Remote targeting range. You might be able to keep these outside of base instead of trailing. I don't know. What do you think?
Remember, you do lose the damage, so your damage is going to be a little bit less, even more so, when you get to the 100% range. But still really useful, a really effective prep fleet you could make out of that now. If you can get something into a channel and kind of spot, then you don't need to get your ships as close. I mean, obviously, I love my Mastodons, and I do all sorts of hitting with them. Often I'll prep. And the problem I sometimes face with prepping is even though I can get my spotter in and kind of take some of the punishment, I have to get my Mastodon up to the land, which means that occasionally an APOC might open up on it, or Wendigo, even depending on the placement in the base. So having that extra range just means I can sit back a little bit away from the Aisland turrets if I in it. So pretty useful.
Um,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that for me, Mastodons are probably still my top fleet until my fusion cruisers finish building. So I still get quite a lot of use out of mine.
So
I think,
do you use any as frontline, or do you have a spotter?
yeah, I have spot. I use my Jugex or Frosty, or Jugex and Frosty, and then 2 Mastodons behind. So I think for that,
I've got a question for you then, for everybody, mainly for you, Tyler, as I know you use Mastodons. Do you think that this makes it better or equal to or less than the Protomass? Because personally, I still think the Protomass is better, regardless of the range bonus. What do you think?
well, you got the cryo, you get the cryo thing on the Protomass, don't
The
you?
explosive defense is more on the Protomass, which is obviously useful against morts and stuff. A bit of splash
Well,
damage.
for me, I use these a lot as zombies in raids when I'm grinding out raids and stuff. These are like the ideal zombie fleet because you can keep them so far away and they deal damage the whole time. So raids I've sent in like 3 Seawolves. If I can sit 100%, if I can sit basically 25% further away, that's 25% longer before they start killing my Mastodons.
You get to fire a bit sooner,
Yeah.
don't you?
Alright.
Fire a bit sooner and stay alive a bit longer when they get close as well. Like do more damage before I'm dead, so it's good. I like it.
Steven, you're gonna say something?
Oh, so Mastodons are kind of like a glass cannon. If you screw up with them, you're going to pay and they're going to die really quickly. So it's nice to see them give a little more heft with those medium, the R2 through R4. I think this is actually a pretty decent and balanced retrofit for Mastodons, at least.
I like how it's not made it like, okay, the Mastodons are now the killer fleet. You've still got to be good at driving them. It's not going to give your Mastodons a magical life, you know?
They just don't melt anymore.
Well, they don't melt as fast or as easily, but you still got to drive them. You sit under a mort for too long, they're still going to die regardless of the retros. But there are some really useful things there still.
Just a little one. I know strike system's quite popular on Mastodons, depending on how you build them. The turn speed boost might prove useful for some people who are using strike system. Maybe make them a little bit more maneuverable.
Especially for those who can't sit and grind rank all day.
Yeah. And also the penetrative damage you get if you're running them as zombies, you're going to deal 20% more damage, aren't you? Which again is useful if you're taking out fleets like that. I can see Stephen nodding his head. He knows the struggle of zombie and Mastodons, doesn't he?
Yeah, I've done those too. Yeah.
Now, am I right in saying that the Protomass doesn't have that bonus? It has 25% building damage bonus, but not the overall missile damage.
I think you're right.
So that 20% penetrative damage makes up for the lack of damage with the remote targeting. You know, the loss that you get. So it kind of balances out a little bit, so you don't lose as much with the extended range.
All right.
Sorry, Larry. One last thing. Obviously, in the raid we've got splash subs coming. I think I saw on the Kixeye forums or something today. Splash subs. They're going to do splash damage. Now, if you've got Mastodons that are going to sit a bit further away,
I'm sorry, I just see Steven shaking his head there. He's going to cry.
If you've got Mastodons that are going to sit a bit further away, you might find yourself taking less damage potentially from these subs if you can get them well out of harm's way, but still killing the subs underwater. That could be useful.
Yeah. All right, Grimshine Berserker, R5. I like the combat speed at R3 because I find that with a lot of these newer ships, the Grimshine Berserker is just too slow to try and pair them up. So I like any speed boost I can get. And then obviously more overloads at R5. It's also pretty nice.
I like the fact that they realize everybody really uses these as a frontline tank and overload. If you still have them, like as an example, I don't have Race. I just have a Grimshine Berserker. So I'm pretty pumped about this one. Once again, this is a good. I feel like they're pretty balanced. This is one of the better things I've seen from Kixeye in a long time. On this one, at least.
I'm loving this retro.
Yeah,
It's
I like this retro.
For those who are using a Grimwrath Guard, you know this is a good option if you are willing to change your guard. I've been holding off building my Wrath from the raid simply because I wanted to see what this was going to offer. and I'm glad I did because I've just put it in refit this morning, and this is going to be in place of a Wrath. The defenses are a hell of a lot better, and it gives the fleet defenses, which obviously once they're targeting the Grim Wrath, or sorry, the Berserker, they're not going to be targeting the other ships, but they may switch the targets up depending on how your base is laid out. And the overload being less means I get more triple salvos, which I'm liking.
Yep.
The other thing I noticed with this as well, I know Rob, you were talking about using the Jug X for your missions, and that missile defense was really key. Penetrative defense up to 60% and evade up to 0%. I always had a problem getting the evade decent on this when I was building it in Huggies, and I think that makes it really good as a mission tank. I drafted a build up earlier, and you're looking at like I know yours was 95%. I think you're looking at similar turret missile defense.
Just to kind of, and I don't want to go on too long. I know Larry's keen to get through this. We've not got long left, but just to kind of show you how much that 10% makes a difference. Assuming you've got R15 heavy plating on, and I've got a couple of impact cannons as well. The overload defense is 88 ballistic, 90 explosive, 92 missile, and 90 radioactive. Sorry, that's because I've got D5R on as well. But ignore the radioactive. The other stats are, 88, 90, and 92 with R15 heavy plating. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty hot. All right. Next are the two interceptors, V2H. Some extra defense. I like the concussive defense just because it's sort of unique, and having 50% concussive is good, especially considering what we've got coming up. And then at R10, you got the extra thermal imaging range. I thought, 68 range was always kind of exploitable by subs. People like to talk about this as a sub killer, but it was exploitable. 75 makes it a lot tougher to exploit, and then more reload. So I thought that was pretty good. And in fact, I am doing this right now as part of my anti-Scourge strategy, which I may talk about soon.
You could take more cargo from them as well.
Yeah, because I'm always short on cargo.
I've just realised that this is the most, I know it's the R10, but that's the most expensive retro. I mean, the Grim, I didn't mention it because I knew we wanted to move on, Larry, but the Grim was only 60k for R5. This is 80. I'd say the Grim bonuses were a lot better.
But this is R10. This is just this is the best it's going to get. It's not getting better than this.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Look forward to the R10 Grim.
Yeah, extremely. And the Mastodon. That'd be fun.
Yep. All right, anything else on the V2H?
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's really, really good retros, though. It's good balance. It's not too overpowered and it's not too shit. So I think it's a good retrofit overall.
Like I said, I think this is going to be my go-to ship against the Scourge. So.
Well, bear in mind as well, in the last campaign, they put this as a prize pack too, don't they? So I'm just thinking about low-level players. Maybe win that campaign, retro it to R10 might stand a chance in the next set of raids.
Depends how low-level you mean. I'm not sure low-level could do the campaign, even with the 12 hours.
Well, you have got 12 hours. That's what. But you could probably grind out. I don't know. I haven't actually done it yet, so I don't know how hard it is.
Try it and let us know.
But, yeah. I don't know, it might be an option for them if they're happy to coin to get this, maybe. Then they can use it as a sub-killer in the future raids.
Yep. All right, V2C. V2C, I think, is the best ship that most of us have never built. I don't know about you guys. I mean, I think this is a good ship. I just never found the time to build it.
Same for me.
Those who I've seen with this ship, they're loving it. There's a guy in my alliance, in my raid video tag team, and he could take the hounds at the beginning for no damage with this, for R5.
Yeah, they're nice ships, and they always seem like you'd rather build something else, but they're pretty good. I like anti-missile accuracy. I've always wanted to build one of these. It's just an anti-missile ship, even.
Somebody pointed out to me the 89% reload, which seems like a random number, not 80, not 90. Also, the Highlander R4 is 89% reload. Just wondered why they chose 89%.
I don't know. It It was already 80, so I didn't highlight it because I didn't think it was a whole lot, just an extra 10%. But I like the round
9%.
defense. It's probably 89.9, the way Kixeye loves to round down. So
Not quite 90, but almost.
yeah. So that's the V2C. Nothing astounding, but decent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a modest retro. I do like it. Well, it's a lot because a lot of people probably haven't built them yet. Never mind started the R1s through 5, so it's a committed build when you could probably use a fusion cruiser for a similar effect, which hasn't been retroed yet.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it didn't get a supercharged bonus, to be honest. I thought it might. I thought they might have gave it like a ×2 supercharge or something built in. I think that would have made it really, really must build then for people who didn't have the fusion cruiser. But like I said, it didn't.
Yeah, I think people would have appreciated that instead of the thermal imaging range. I mean, it's not like you're using these against subs.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Done with retros. Let's go to Outpost 7. So Outpost 7 coming September 15th. There was a Kixeye post that described what was in it without giving any details. But, it's basically everything. So new resource generators, I assume that means more.
Or is it a new type of resource? Maybe we get some uranium. Mine 10 uranium per day or something.
I wonder. I don't know. Warehouse capacity, more power. I know that's what we're all interested in. Another dock level, so heavier fleets. Welcome to Retrofit land. Another shipyard level, so we'll see what comes out of that. I guess people are wondering if it's going to be, lighter weight on Forsaken tech, or maybe now Draconian or Reaver tech will end up lighter weight with the higher level shipyard. Higher level defensive platforms, so hopefully you've got them up to level 5 so that you're ready for level 6. Rob, I know you're a big
You have a
fan
month
of
for that to happen because
I'm
it takes
there.
what 11 days for R5 right now.
Oh, you've had months to do it. Quit whining. I've told you months ago. You chose
I've
not
been-
to listen.
I've been doing it. I'm just saying. Fuck. What are we gonna have coming?
I have 3 left.
Yeah,
I'm fine.
I have about, I think, 4 left. I'm working on one now, and when that's done, I'll have 4 left.
I want to say this is just my speculation with the defensive platforms. I assume we're getting 2 specials because that what's it? You know that new turret,
The
ballista?
thing that said it stacks. The
Yeah,
thing
if-
that said it stacks as
Why
well
would
with the
special
shells.
stack if we only have 1 special?
That's what I was going to point out at the time, but I didn't want to sound like a noob. But yeah.
No,
I did think
excellent
that.
point, guys. That's excellent point. And I was going to mention this on the ballista. If you win the ballista on that mission, you're probably going to be, unless you're coining your butt off, you're probably going to be building your new outpost upgrade and your new dock and your new shipyard. You'll be building all that stuff before you build one new turret. Just thinking.
Yeah, I would say so. I'm going to point out something else. It's actually not me who made this up. Chew from my alliance pointed this out on our page. Have you noticed the grammar in which they've wrote about the outpost? So I'm going to point out it says resource generators, plural, with an S. It says new dock levels with an S, which just suggests more than 1 new level. Defensive platform levels, plural again. And War Academy level, just the 1. So does that mean we're getting 1 new War Academy level, but at least level 6 and 7 platforms? At least level 3 and 4 shipyard? Or is that just mistyped?
Well, Kixeye has such a meticulous command of every detail, and they never mess up those little details that, you got to read it really carefully.
I mean, it's food for thought, We're going to have platforms, and if we do, I was having this conversation with a friend yesterday, I think, and he was saying maybe it's going to be, the initial could be level 6, and then eventually they'll unlock level 7. Or is it going to be straight away you can have level 6 and 7? Because that's going to really push the gap between coiner and non-coiner.
What about if they make you research in the naval lab potentially? Maybe a DU5. comes out in the Naval Lab.
I don't
Although there's no
expect-
new Naval Lab level there, is there?
I don't think they would,
No.
because that would just go down in tech rather than up, which seems to be the progression of going upwards, taking massive leaps forward.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. I didn't mention aloud, but more land and higher base footprint, so more area to build. So
I
it'll
can't
get
wait for that.
interesting to redesign your bases.
Can't wait to copy Payne's base design.
That's kind of the most
Yeah.
interesting to me because we've all been stuck with relatively the same designs for a year and a half, 2 years. And people tweak it, people have different variations of what works. But we've been so land constricted, I think that's going to really change base hitting for the biggest change you're going to see is because of that base footprint.
All right. So new faction, the Scourge. So
Scourge.
yeah.
Sorry, I don't know why I did that. I thought
That's
it
okay.
sounded dramatic and powerful, as you were.
It probably sounded dramatic and powerful in your head.
Yeah, definitely did.
Yeah. So I just they had a whole post, and I have the link here, but so just a few highlights. So humans descended to the bottom of the oceans. Few ships, but tremendous value. I think people were thinking big, strong ships, although the first preview, maybe not. Special alloys to hold off hostile corrosive elements, and corrosive weaponry deal damage over time. So that was all a little bit vague. There's a little more detail that came out later, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But the other thing that they announced is that after the raid, so starting September 15th, is a campaign where the Scourge will attack level 60 and up. Yeah,
The
that one sounded better in my
Scourge.
head too.
You kind of bottled that there, Larry. You kind
Yeah.
of thought, right, I'm going to go for it, but
You
it was a bit
sounded
of
like
a
a kid going
half-hearted
through
attempt.
puberty, trying to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounded a lot better in my head. Okay, so it's going to be that they're attacking your base, and this is really interesting because War Commander, another Kixeye game which I used to play and quit a while back, a lot of their events were base defense. So you'd get waves of attackers attacking your base. Now, in this post, Doom said he thinks that this campaign will not affect your damage protection status, PvP status, or medals. So I don't know how they're going to do that exactly, where these things are damaging your base, but then your
So you
base
can't have the AI trouble you.
Yeah, I don't know. So the one thing I want to point out is that when events in War Commander were base defense, what people would do, and just keep this in mind as a strategy, is they would rearrange their base specifically for the event. So keep that in mind. Keep it in your pocket as a possible strategy.
I want
You've
to
got
add something
two-
to that real quick, Larry, because I was thinking the same thing. If they do that, we need more base layouts that we can save. 2 or 3 is not enough. We need more.
Well, yeah, and that's right. There's 2 right now in the designer, and if you remember, with Outpost 7, they said there would be an improved base designer. So maybe we will get more slots.
Yeah, hopefully.
It is a bit strange that they've brought this campaign out now, because normally don't they bring it out when we sort of come to the end of an event series? This seems like a bit different to the ones that we've seen in the past. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm all for
it
it.
is a little bit weird timing.
I can't wait for them to start hitting my base. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool.
That's the best
Agreed.
part of this update for me. All the stuff with Outpost 7, screw it. I just want them to attack my base. That's what the game's about for me, defending my base. That's why I played it in the first place, so it's going to be pretty cool. I mean, the players don't attack it anymore, so someone's got to.
They just hit you while you're doing cargo, right, Rob?
Yeah. I just want to quickly go over something, Larry. I'll try and be quick about it. I kind of looked into the the things you've got at the top, the little snippets. I kind of did my own analysis almost, and I think there's almost hidden messages behind it. So, they say about the corrosive sludge, which is eating away at the bulkhead and protective alloy of the engine casing. is that going to just be like a defensive bypass thing, or are they going to reduce your defensive values over time as well as do damage over time? They said about there was something in the transmission thing where they can't connect to the primary power core. Is that going to affect your speed? Is it going to bring your ships to a halt as well? They're going to freeze you. A lot of those pinches, like the Borbus field effects, are going to be a lot more of that coming into the game. If you look into it and put your tinfoil hat on while you're doing it and have a little look into it and try and be philosophical almost at the wording and try and decipher what it means, you might be able to prepare better for the raid.
I think this could be I think we've got a lot of new content coming this month. It seems like they're doing a lot. Similar to when Outpost 6 first came out, they did quite a lot then as well. This looks like there might even be more than that. I'm just preparing for the game to get shook up a lot over the next probably 5-6 months, and then sort of settle back down again, I think. But yeah.
I'm going to put a quick word out to everyone watching. We've hit the hour mark, so if you'd like to grab some popcorn, we're going to feature length at the moment.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Lot to say. All right, so there's another post that had a few more hard details. So they explained one hull that was coming and 2 weapons that were coming, and said that more info was coming on the forums.
But there's now
So-
more. Sorry. It's that voice again. There's now more.
There is more?
Yes, would you like me to screen share?
Well, let's get through this and then yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Sorry if I missed the latest. So we've got this hull that was previewed in just a picture before is now called the Viperfish. And they say it's got extreme damage, low hit points, long range, and extremely fast. And then they said short range, submerge, and surface times. I don't know if they actually meant to say short duration.
Maybe they mean
pops
like the
under.
Reaper.
Maybe.
So it's a short submerge, so you can hit it if you see it. It just does less damage, perhaps.
Yeah. I was wondering if it was just going to like have short duration, pops under for 5 seconds, then up for 5, then down
Like
for
the
5.
Kraken? So it's difficult
Well,
to
even
track.
quicker. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And then you've got the Typhon cannon. I would think there'd be an extra O, but I guess not. I took it right from the post.
I see that.
And they said it would be the most common weapon. So it is a ballistic cannon that also does corrosive damage. It's a single target weapon, so that means evade is going to work against it. Okay? So keep that in mind. Bring back your evade. But then also ballistic and corrosive damage. And then the second most common weapon, they say, is going to be these Charon torpedoes, which are concussive damage torpedoes, but they also do splash. So
Screw evade.
yeah.
Shit.
Can I just say, it does say the torpedo carries a heavier warhead and detonates before striking the enemy ship. So does that mean when you're in range it's going to explode as you're near you? In which case, would high speed mean that it doesn't really hurt you as bad,
Yeah, I mean that's the usual formula against splash is the high speed to outrun where it was targeted, but we'll see if these torpedoes are actually directed or not. So that's what we know, unless I guess Rob knows something else.
Yeah, I do. I'll screen share.
About the Scourge.
The Scourge Part 2. Sorry. So, I'll just read it as it says. It says, a salvage ship came across the wreckage of what appears to be the Scourge attack. Among the wreckage of obliterated Draconian ships, we recovered the black box of the ships involved in the attack. Here's what we have uncovered from among the garbled message. Codenamed Daggertooth, as you can see here on this ship. A mid-sized Scourge craft, the Daggertooth is the mainstay ship in the Scourge fleets. This hull utilizes chemical weapons to eat away at enemy hulls, will submerge after taking too much damage, and is known for releasing a salvo of EMP-boosted torpedoes, allowing the Daggertooth to make a quick escape if necessary. Its characteristics: moderate damage, moderate HP, short and medium ranges in close combat. It will attack until damaged to a certain point. Then it will submerge and launch a volley of special torpedoes designed to disable the attacker, which goes back to what I was saying earlier about the little pinches and, making you freeze dead. Once disabled, rather than re-engaging in close combat, the dagger tooth will retreat and employ long-range weaponry to engage. Anybody else thinking Kraken when they read that?
That just seems like a load of fucking bull. What the fuck? So basically, you go to kill it, you do a load of damage, then it pinches you, and then it runs away, and then it kills you from distance after you've almost killed it.
Well, what makes that really hazardous is that if there's other ships around while the daggerfish fires its pinches, it'll pinch you and those other ships will kill you. So
I hope everyone got Shielded Electronics 3 in the raid.
Fuck.
Shall I move on to the next one? There is another one. Brace yourself, Tyler. Bend over and keep your arsehole open. I think, here we go.
Yeah.
Codename Goblin Shark. As you can see from the eyes, it looks like a kind of fish. This cruiser class ship uses similar tactics as the Viperfish, which is the one that Larry had on his slide, but with slightly longer submerged and surface times. Its characteristics are high damage, high HP, short ranges, moderate speed. It utilizes alternating submersion timers to disrupt expected behavior, and it uses chemical weapons with long reload to deal damage while it's submerged and reloading. That's all she wrote.
Okay.
Or he, because Doom's a male. I think. Well, we've seen him on the other show, so yeah, he is.
No, we've
So
heard.
yeah, that's the two more. What do you think about them? I'm thinking they just seem like variants of the Kraken, which could be a problem for a lot of people.
Could be a problem for me.
I think. Go ahead, Tyler.
I'm just a bit scared, really.
I think Larry hit it right on the head.
Everybody needs to listen to Larry and get them V2Hs to the concussive damage if they have them. That's going to help tremendously.
I just have pictures of getting pinched while Hellhounds are running down on my fleets. I see that.
There's no
coming in
Hellhounds.
X-raid.
This is the
Scourge,
not the Reavers.
Okay. While rocket fleets come running in on my boats, I can just have visions of fleets melting for this raid.
Rocket fleets. They're ballistic. It's the Typhon cannon. For fuck's sake, Stephen.
Yeah. See, this is why I had doubts about him coming on the show.
Well, hold on, because it did. I think it did also say they could be using Forsaken or Draconian weapons. So there may be other weapons. They're not going to be using only Typhons and Charons.
I think Kixeye's only throwing 2 tricks at you this raid, and you're crazy.
Nice.
There's going to be a multitude of different things. So when have they not pulled on old technology?
Let's think about this.
Look.
In the last raid, a lot of the damage was explosive, right? So they're more likely to give you a different type of damage as to throw you off ball. So your fleets are effectively useless, almost. So you need to refit for the raids. So the explosive damage is probably going to drop a lot.
Yeah.
This is just going to be painful.
I screen shared my shipyard. I don't know, Tyler, if you can pin me up.
Yeah, mate, you're selected.
All right. So
I can pin you up as well if you want, though.
Oh God, please don't. So this is a refit to my V2H that I'm working on now for the raid, and I started this after I read the info I just shared with you. So I used to have this ship as 3 siege missiles and the phalanx, and then open slots, and then it had strike 3 and thruster, I think. So I refit with speed 5 and guided missile system for the accuracy and then the extra range. And then I took off one of the siege missiles and I put on 4 Harriers and a disruptor. So I'm just thinking I want more range. The disruptor might slow them down, whether they're trying to charge in close or get away. Maybe that'll help. But this is my best shot. and I'm keeping my evade high. Again, the V2H has that concussive defense, and I'm still actually a little unsure on what I'm going to use for my flag. I've got 4 of these that I'm working on, and it's about a 2-day refit each, so I'll get it done just before the raid.
Perhaps a Frostburn for its longer thermal range, as we're finding a lot of submerged targets.
Yeah, yep. I was and I was going to say I'm debating between my Frostburn and a Grim Wrath, but yeah, I think I probably will end up with the Frostburn.
I think Frosty would make the most sense there. Yeah, the only thing I was thinking, Larry, is I think you might be on something with using disruptors. But mostly if you get your Frostburn in, obviously it's not much point having a lot of range if you can't see them until they're within. Like, it's not much point slowing them down if most of them are going to have longer range than you. So you don't want to be slowing them down when you've seen them within 75. Also, another thing I'd potentially consider would be putting sonar on something. They haven't. I don't know if Rob knows anything, but they haven't spoke yet about their cloaking efficiency.
No,
So
well,
if these guys
might not have, we're always used to super stealth with the drags, but they might not have so much cloak. So thinking about rhinos as well, where they don't have lasers, you want to be using the guided missile system. I think that's the one with lasers and solid fuel booster. Well, that's what you've got.
Guided missile system.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean.
Yeah. Sorry, Rob. Carry on.
Yeah, I mean you've also got the accuracy. So even if you've got built-in lasers to the ship, the extra accuracy will help you against heavily evaded targets as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking you might want a ship in there that's got a lot of sonar to sort of cover all your bases.
Artemis.
You can do that on the Frostburn.
I think you're
Artemis.
right, Tyler. Yeah.
I'm saying the Artemis because if these subs are, from what I've read on the forums, they're going to be scattering around. It's not like they're going to be chasing you as a group. They're going to be retreating to different areas. If you can drop some mines and leave the mines to drift into the abyss, let them hit some mines every so often, that will help, perhaps.
Zombie Artemises.
Actually, I have a zombie Artemis built, so yeah, maybe I'll drop that in somehow.
Just hide it over the back, run away into a corner, do as much damage as you can, then come back in with a different, come back in with it again and try and pick them off. That's your strategy for the raid right there, Stephen. Zombie Artemis, mate, I've called it.
Whatever works.
Alright. Back to the slides. We're done with the Scourge. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
The Scourge.
The Scourge.
Yeah, I think we're about done with that, unless anybody's got anything else. But.
All right. So on to our new feature, this week's Kixeye screw-ups. And this week there are so many, we had to go to 2 slides. And I'll apologize in advance. I'll try to just go through these a little faster. Sometimes we do devolve into a bit of a bitch fest, but we'll try not to get too bitchy, will we? All right, so the first 2 I have on here are actually long-time screw-ups. These aren't new this week, but I think Rob talked about the first one, and I talked about the second one. I think we're just kind of sick of these. So for the FAT, in terms of fixing, you can't use the 5-minute speed-up when you're coining, and you can't use it on individual ships. You can use it if you're obviously slow repairing, and you can use it if you're using tokens, but you can't use it if you're coining. So Kixeye is penalizing the coiners for once.
Yeah,
maybe
I do understand how that comes about, and I think they should have some thought into fixing it, because when you have the arena, you can't move a ship. If your ship's damaged, you have to repair it before you can change it, edit it, remove it, or anything, right? So for them to be able to let you have 5 minutes on each ship, so like I was saying, I had a repair which was like 12 minutes for the fleet. I had to then wait until it was 5 minutes before I could instant fix it, when each ship was probably about 3 or 4 minutes each. Whereas in my dock on a regular battle, I would remove the ships from the slot and do each ship. As we can't remove the ships, that's why we can't do that. But there's got to be an option for us to then repair individual ships rather than the fleet, without having the fleet, because obviously you can't dismiss that ship or remove it So if they change the repair so that we can repair individual ships just for that feature, that would be really welcomed.
What about, to be honest, they won't do this because it would cost them money, because it would save us money and we could potentially save more money. But what if you could like use all your fleet slots and sort of move between them as if that was your dock? So effectively you had an arena dock, you could build up to however many ships. So you buy a fleet slot, then you can build 10 ships, and then you repair them as if it was your dock, and you have that dock for 5 days, and you just use it as if it was a normal dock. That'd be really good. It'd be a lot of good strategy in there. But like I say, they won't do it because it potentially costs them.
Well, it would, because people could just have like a tank 5 times, and they could just build loads of tanks and then keep, swapping them in and out. But I don't know. It's something they can consider.
It's strategy, and it's,
definitely.
I mean, it's fair, right?
It's a strategy game.
Yeah. All right.
Make sure you're not gaming anything though with that strategy.
We don't want to game the game because we're playing a game. Sorry, my camera's not on. You can't see me roll my eyes at that one. All right, so fat queuing. Let's move on.
Sounds like
so this whole thing.
McDonald's, fat queuing.
And, yeah. So, for a long time I thought this was just me. So every time, right, the timer counts down, and then it goes to 0, and then it says requeuing, and then it puts you in a battle. Why does it say requeuing when you're not requeuing? You're actually going into a battle. And then, sometimes when you don't go into a battle, it'll get stuck on requeuing, and so you can't see your timer anymore unless you close your arena window and then reopen it, and then you see it on the timer.
It is timing down. You just can't see that, so you don't know that you might be 10 seconds away from a battle, and you're sat there waiting for it to requeue. You get thrown into a match. The other player gets the upper hand because you're sat there idly scratching your head looking at the requeuing, and you have no idea you're about to have a battle.
The FAT before this one was brilliant because you used to wait 2 minutes without fail, and then at the end of the 2 minutes it would say requeuing and then throw you into a battle. So you knew when you were going to be in a battle, because basically as soon as it started saying requeuing, it was like, right, okay, so I'm now going into a battle. Like, rather than requeuing.
I mean, that's what's going on. Yeah. So wait, you don't get the requeuing before every battle, Tyler?
No, I do. Yeah, that's
the
fun part.
Every battle. Yeah.
Everyone gets it. I think it's just a feature.
It's working as intended.
It's wrong.
I think it's more of maybe they decide whether you get the timer ticks down, and then there's probably a logarithm where it says requeuing, and it's either gonna throw you into a battle immediately. If there's 2 players both go to requeuing, they get put into a match. If there's not, you'll go to the other side and start requeuing again. Probably something to do with that. They just need to change the way that it updates the timer for you.
Yeah, it's just bad. All right, so another little bug. I know early on in the FAT, a lot of players were complaining they weren't getting their repair tokens. I don't know if they ever made it right for the people that didn't get them.
Yes, they did.
Okay. We'll move on from that then. There were some head scratchers in the toy box. Siege Battery, I think, is the biggest head scratcher. In case
someone brings in their Apocalypse Morts on top of their Arbalists. You never know when someone's going to have a Wendigo on their fleet.
Yeah. So, missing laser 2, but you could use 1 or 3. Ablative 3, reactive 3, but only layered 2. There's just some weird...
It also had siege targeting, which I thought was quite a good one, in case you wanted to kill the outpost while you were in.
If someone did sneak in their weapons lab, it means you could kill it a little bit faster.
Yeah.
I mean, layer 2, ablative 3, reactive 3, it's almost like they've just closed their eyes and picked out of a hat. We'll have that one, we'll have that one, and we'll have that one. And I don't know, it just seems... Why layer 2? Why not have all of them? I mean, who's going to use layered 1 or layered 3 anyway, really? Apart from weight issues, but...
Why don't they just put all the tech in there? Is it just me?
I like the way... I was talking to someone earlier on the chat here, and, they were saying about the fleet that I used, and, you might need to make a new one next month. And I'm like, I really hope that the stuff that we have now is different next month. Or at least some variation, because the same thing every month is bloody boring.
Yep.
Having everything available means that people are going to use the same thing, because there's going to be one fleet or two fleets that are really effective, and everyone's going to use that and ignore the rest of the tech. I think if they force it on a narrow channel, but look, you can choose between this, that, or that, and then you make a good fleet that works every month. I like that. A bit of variety, a bit of thinking outside the box every month, rather than just, right, what did I use last month? That worked. I'll do it again this month. It's boring.
I don't know. I miss my drones.
I'm so glad they took out drones. In fact, I would almost put that in the breakthrough. I didn't, but I should have.
See, I mean, I could easily kill them, but I was just bored of them. I'm like, oh, it's them drones again. I like difference. I like the way that this month, even though most people use fusion cruisers, there was a few different variations, which meant I had to kill them in different ways. It tested my ability to drive, and I don't know, I enjoyed it. I had some good fights.
As long as Payne keeps giving me great fleets, we're fine.
Well, I believe the way that it went in chat, Tyler, is you said you were going to do what I was going to do, and then I said I was going to do what Payne was going to do. So yeah. All right, so let's move on. The Fusion Cruiser FAT default design was really ridiculous. It was a mix of F launchers and N launchers and countermeasures. And I put that on here because the default of designs have been bad in the toy box raids, like for all of them, except this one. I think there were some really good ones, like the Nighthawk I used as is.
Rhino wasn't far off.
Yeah.
From what I remember.
Yeah. And so then the Fusion Cruiser being so bad really stood out. So
I loved when people used it though, because they never got an explosion on Rhino. When you see that ship and you're like, wait, that looks like the default. I'll just charge in there and kill him.
Yeah.
I had somebody use 4 default Protomast on me. That was fun.
Okay.
All
right. Let's keep going. Banshee in the shipyard was wrong. They gave it like a 634 instead of its 844. So
I still don't understand. I know I put a picture of this in the chat, but how could Huggy, who does his own shipyard thing, obviously looked at the code of the game, or I don't know how he knew, but knew that it was going to be wrong when it was released. Yet Kixeye still had to wait until they'd released it, and then had it
I'm
wrong.
interested with. I think the build time what quoted was about 3 days more than what it actually is. I'm interested if anyone tried to build it and what happens to them. Do they have to wait an extra few days? Are they going to get tokens to replace that, or what?
Has the build time been reduced now then?
It's I posted it in our
4
chat.
hours.
4 days, 20 hours, I think it is.
Yeah.
Is it? Is that it? That changes it? Fucking hell! I didn't realise they'd done that. I thought it was still 7 days, 15 hours. I might actually build them now.
That's what I'm saying. I wonder if anyone built it at 7 days. I'm lucky if you did.
Yeah.
I wonder if they built it with 3 specials and the previous things, how that actually worked. I'm not sure if anyone actually got to the point of trying to build one immediately.
All right, so that's it for the FAT-related screw-ups. And then the new retros came out, and you can't read the fucking text. It's so tiny, and it scrolls. And right? Am I right? I'm not just old.
No, it's garbage.
It's
You're
terrible.
Do you know one thing they could do is they could have it so when you hover over it, when you hover over a ship in your shipyard and it comes down with a big box and expands and tells you all the stats, they could just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The boxes, you hover over the box, like number 3, and it will have a little pop-up menu. It tells you what is exactly in Retro 3. I know it's not a massive thing, but it helps a lot of people.
Yep.
Makes it easy to read and stuff. So.
Yeah, because I misinterpreted the Highlander. I thought that 10% damage also applied to the aura, and it doesn't. And it's very hard to tell from that little teeny scrolling text.
I hate having to. I missed it the first time. I had to wait for it to come back around. I was like, just sat there like, yeah. They can make changes like the shipyard.
All right, more screw ups. Page 2 this week. These are a couple other random ones. So
don't forget the not filling the brackets in the FAT as well, Larry. I know that happens to quite a few people.
That one.
Yeah. Just want to throw it back out there.
All right, so they screwed up how they released these retros. They were first part of existing categories, and then they were all in new ones. I think it wouldn't have killed them to keep the Pandemonium and the Scrambler in particular in the same category. So there's that. This next one was fixed, I think, fairly quickly, but when it first came out, they couldn't use a ship designer when you were refitting ships, only on new builds. Sorry, Tyler, we know it's late. Warbird model needs the Atlas to use. Somebody posted that one up in the forums, and I thought it was funny, and I wanted to share that. You can't use the word. Maybe they fixed it. And then I thought the way they released the info on the Scourge was kind of crappy. How they did it. It was like buried. The Scourge. Yeah, it was buried in some thread, and somebody asked a question on page 2, and then all of a sudden, oh, here's all this info. Put it out officially or don't.
Do you know what would be good? I know it's only a small detail. A lot of people don't care for the forums because there's so much crap with just people whining and bitching. They don't bother checking them. Some people just check them every Tuesday because they get directed there from another page. I think they have all these little updates when someone hits a fucking drag base or something. Just a little update on the comms, or a little FYI. There's some information on the raid on the forums, and then you'd be prompted to have a look on the forum for it.
Yeah. Well, and then sometimes they do it on the top of the screen, not in comms, but
when you're playing
like
full screen, you don't see that stuff.
Well, you see it when you start, at least.
I don't bother reading it. I log in and I go full screen immediately. I don't really look up.
Lately, I've just assumed that means there's more connectivity issues, so I don't really.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. Breakthrough, again, this thing about being able to use the shipyard, people have wanted it for a long time, and they did it. So good on to you, Kixeye.
Another good one I want to just throw onto there. The way they're updating us is pretty good. Just like the general monthly update thing. We know what's coming this month at least. Do you know what I mean? We know when all the campaigns. I know they've done it for a while now. Doom Rooster's pretty sharp on doing it, but yeah, it's like
for months.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say.
I agree. The monthly WIP has been around for a while, but there was a time beforehand when it wasn't so clear.
And also, it used to be within like a week, didn't it? It used to be on like the 7th of the month. It was out, yesterday, today? Like second of the month? That's not bad.
I'd like to know, where are our repair specialists?
Ooh.
You think we need some new ones?
Definitely. I think the way that we've had so many new holes recently means that a lot of the ones, even from 2 or 3 or 4 months ago, are already slightly outdated. And with the repairs being the issue, with them pushing more damage, more dock weight is going to mean more armor, which is going to mean more repair. I'd like to see them balance that down before we have to have the longer repairs. I know some people's guards who, to adequately defend against a new tech, they are exceeding their bubble time to defend against it. I think the Holocs need a look at in the repair modifier. We've got a new sub now, so why not think about the Nighthawk? The Crusaders are in, the Hounds are in. It's not just like they put old tech in there. They've put the bloody Grimshine's Wrath and Unshackled in not long after they came out. So throw a bone to some of the other guys who have got V2Cs and H are already there. It's a bad example. But there's a lot of ships that aren't in there that should be.
I tell you what they really do need to do. I drafted up a build earlier for a Grimshine's Berserker. No weapons, just the armor and the specials. 28 days. That's a month. Now, I'm not being funny, but there's going to be like 2 new hulls released before I can build that hull. That means like 2 new hulls before I can build 1 ship. I just think that they need to tone down the build times on the older ships. They're way too long. The Triton, for instance, is another good example. 5 days, 9 hours for a blank Triton. Why?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They need to really go and adjust that and just go through and roll them all back like 4 days, and then we'd be in a better position. It gets to the point where if you're a low player, you're thinking, right, I might as well build the Mercury, even though if it's worse than the late hulls.
Here's one problem with that. I'm not saying it's enough to stop it, If they do that, how many people are going to be pissed that they've spent all this time building it and then now someone else got it cheaper?
Well,
But
that's
I
like
think, I'm
Yeah.
gonna counter that straight away by saying that's not my thought. That's what I think some people would be like. I think to those people who think that, just look at it as a positive. So you had to build your trans 5 days. Brilliant. You've had more build time. Unlucky for you. But you're not using your trans anymore. You're probably not building them. But it's a sign and a step forward. So you can take advantage of other things in the future, which are lower build time,
well,
which are more on par.
if you think about it, when you built your Tritons, they were worth more than they are now. That's the key thing, isn't it? It's like if you
Yeah.
built your Tritons when they were 5 days, you've had more use out of them, and you've had better use out of them. If you
Right.
build a Triton now,
And there's enough info available that if you built a Triton last week, you made that choice and you knew how long it was going to take to build when you started building it. So
We always say building stages. Don't just
Yeah.
put a 28-day build on, because there's going to be so much new stuff coming out in that time. You're only going to refit.
but yeah. Okay.
all
Is there
right.
anything else we want to run through, or should we call it a night here? We're only half hour over.
Feature film.
Sorry,
I've watched
guys.
movies less than this.
It's it's when you get the Bezer Prof combination on the. Sorry, Larry, I'm still fixed on you here. Everyone's getting a good look at you here. But yeah. Okay then, guys.
The
I think
reason we're delayed is because we have to explain everything in more detail for Tyler, so he can comprehend what we've said.
occasionally we have to tell Stephen to be quiet as well when he goes to type out that.
Stephen's awfully quiet. I hope I haven't made him all shy and stuff.
No, just let you guys had the couple different conversations I'll let you carry out today.
Stephen,
So-
have you got anything you'd like to say to people?
Keep your head down.
me-
Get your
I-
wallets ready.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Who brought Stephen on the show?
Oh, man.
I love you, Rob. Thanks,
The-
buddy.
I
The
hate
re-
you, Stephen. I'm
the re-
joking.
The reason Stephen's here is, Rob, we weren't sure if you were coming. We didn't want too much sexual chemistry between me and the prof over there. So we thought we'd better get...
Send me a message and ask.
Well, it was on the... Rob Earth asked on the admin chat and you didn't reply.
Obviously, I was busy at the time. If you sent me a message, that admin chat pings all bloody day with randomness. If you send me an actual message, say, Rob, you're going to be on tonight? Yeah, I will. Thank you.
Right. We'll talk about this after. Night, everyone. Thanks for watching. We hope
night.
it's been a good show. Rob, do you want to do like the Scourge is coming to finish? I think you should go full
Too
out
much
for it.
pressure. The Scourge is coming.